Stop. Join, stop recording. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, you just have
I
to
have
stop
been
sharing.
recording now.
It's recording now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm Ark. This is Nate. Nate is a uh, one of the resin mask making guys, right?
Yeah,
You do
that's what I
prints.
do.
You do prints and
I print and cast and do all sorts of stuff.
okay.
And I'm good. I'm here too.
Oh, why are you here, Bree? This is my
Yeah,
shtick.
Okay,
I'm just
I'll be
gonna reach
good.
out the imaginary spray bottle.
Okay. So Nate, how'd you get started?
Well, in about, or I'm gonna say maybe April of 2020, um, I came back to the Lego community. Um, for there's some stuff going on in the world at the time, and I was trying to find things to do. And initially, for maybe most of 2020, I just did a lot with Lego Star Wars, and I was in a few communities regarding that until I'm going to say probably early 2021, whenever I decided to get back into collecting Bionicle. And it was around that time I got a hold of my first ever resin printer, the EU Mars 2 Pro, and it took a little while and a lot of learning because there wasn't really anything around at the time to explain properly how to use the printer for a pretty niche reason. But I eventually managed to figure it out, and I've taught quite a few people um, how to, do the same thing. And it's kind of cool to see how much it's spread around the community. Um, and from then on, I kind of just continued to work on prints for a while until, uh, you know, later I decided to pick up casting. Um, because it was something that I always wanted to try doing, but it had a bit of a barrier to entry. In the past couple months, I've feel like I've started to really hone my craft with that, and I'm hoping to maybe work on some stuff regarding that for sale soon. Uh,
Oh, that's cool. I'd be interested in buying some of those. I have some other resin casted and printed quality stuff from Socket Ball, Zeo, and Duck Bricks. It's always nice to see more people actually doing this stuff, especially considering we don't have anything to work with anymore with new parts going forward.
yeah, that certainly is something I've thought about from time to time. There's a huge market potential for uh, new pieces in different colors. And Lego's likely, in my opinion, never going to fulfill that. So I feel as if it's sort of up to the community to make more if they want more. And plus, it's just pretty fun to look at whenever you make something new, like like
Definitely, I
a
agree.
mask in a color that's never existed before, um, or like just new parts overall via resin printing. I don't know. It's pretty fun, and it's cool to always see people's reactions.
I think that we may be a little far off from actually having quality, like resin casted pieces or like custom pieces, like sockets and limbs. But I know in the armor and mass department, everything's pretty solid, and weapons too. I've seen a few good ones pop up here and there. Um,
Yeah, sockets are a little in something that we haven't really quite figured out yet. Most of the casting little community doesn't really know what to do regarding that because sockets are notoriously fragile later on, and even what Lego could do professionally. So simple resin casting is just a little iffy when it comes to socket durability. Um, but yeah, masks and armor and all that sort of stuff. I've seen a ton of great pieces come out of that.
yeah, especially with the Haga contests when those were happening, I saw a lot of good quality masks being made, especially weapons too. Especially with
Yeah.
the certain associates and their Haga popping up.
Yeah. Um, it's always cool to see what all has gotten canonized. I can even see one of the people who may have made one of the Hagas in the the Discord channel right now. Actually, um,
Yep, we
I
we
see
have
him.
Subpar. He's here.
Yeah. Um, High subpar. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff to come out of the community in the last couple of years, and there's been some a little more controversial than others.
Yeah.
um, but I feel as if for this new sort of era that Bionicle is going into, it's going to be mostly just some really nice fan work, I feel. Um, and I'm looking
I
forward to
agree.
see what all comes out of it.
I look forward to see the crazy stuff that the resin people make, especially considering I know some people have messed with making new CCBS add-ons or somehow sourcing some of the knockoff Chinese parts. I'm just excited to see more stuff in more colors.
There's a couple of different
Yeah,
ways that that's done nowadays. There's drop shipping from places like GoBricks that has like knockoffs, and then there's chasing down individual knockoffs that were some of the stuff that like Zaya's doing with the hands.
Yeah, I have a
yeah.
few of those. I like those a lot. I
Um,
haven't done anything with them.
I I've recently been messing around with Weebricks. They're a really nice third-party seller, and they work directly with GoBricks as a U.S. shipper, basically, like domestic. And they have a lot of really nice Technic parts. Um, I've gotten a lot of black pin axles and stuff from them, and the quality is basically indistinguishable from the official ones from what I've tested.
Can you put a good
And it's
word
been a
in
bit of
for
a
more
lifesaver.
pink parts?
More pink parts.
Oh goodness.
Uh,
Um,
Go on, Nate.
I don't even know. Uh, well, with goodness, pink parts. That I think I don't know. I'm trying to think how to word it. There's certainly some colors that Lego never wanted to tackle with Bionicle, but it could be kind of interesting to see uh some of the colors like that. Um, for like even Technic components, or they actually sell hand connectors on there. I picked some up in Lego Dark Purple because I was curious how they look. They aren't here yet, but they seem like they're going to be nice.
Yeah,
I'll have to
I'm
wait.
specifically looking for parts like those, the ones that they have like actively that they're actively making, just in different colors. Like getting more pink stuff will definitely be nice, especially when pink prints and pink casts are, becoming more widely available.
Uh, Now, my next question is: do you do mask painting as well? Because I see on your Instagram you have a few painted masks, or are those from someone else?
Yeah, I do a lot of airbrushing for my painted components. Um, I picked up that skill after I did hand painting for pretty much all of 2021. And then at the beginning of 2022, I tried out airbrushing, and it's infinitely easier. Um, if you're ever able to get a hold of it, it's it's so nice. Like you can do nice fade effects on parts. You don't have to do 100 layers of like yellow paint. You can just slowly work on it with the airbrush. I don't know, it's great. But yes, I do airbrushing as well.
And I take it you have well, I can see you have pretty part accurate color accurate parts here on your Instagram. Do you have any favorite pieces you've worked on lately?
Hmm. I
Resin
definitely
kit or
think okay. On my page is one of my most recent post. I did a thing of the yesterday questers, and I'm really happy with how all their masks turned out. Um, and I feel as if they're probably my best work so far in terms of color matching, um,
they do look
and
pretty good.
overall texture. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. In regards to other works, I've been getting pretty good with trying to match some colors with resin casting. Um, Trying to see, I could probably send a photo. Um, Let me take that real quick. Some of my work I've done. Let me see. I think I've probably sent some in the Reddit server before, but I can take a few quick photos of just some of what I've made for reference. Um, but I've
Okay.
been working hard with the help of some other casters to color match stuff and sort of get actual stock produced, because I'd like to sell some of these, because
Yeah.
resin's not cheap. So if I'm able to actually make some of my investment back on it, that'd be nice. But for now, it's been a lot of color testing and mold making. I put it in the Stage Talk channel. You can see
Yeah, I see.
a pair of images of some of the stuff I've made so far.
Those are some nice. What's that damn game called? The Picaris, the game Picaris.
Yeah, the
Picaris.
Montanui online game.
Yeah,
Picari.
that Monog. Those
Yeah.
are pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a market for people wanting to buy masks like this. As Socketball has shown, people will eat any stock you throw at them.
That's part of what inspired me, considering that he can put up like 80 masks on the site, and they'll be gone in 2 minutes. Like,
not even that.
Insane.
I haven't been in some of those frays. They're gone in like 30 seconds.
I know. I've
literally was out with a friend. I was out with a friend when the latest drop happened, and I pulled over to get my paint cow.
During that drop, I told a customer to wait. I was at work. I told a customer, "Hey, you need to wait a second. I gotta buy something real quick." Hey, I wanted my shit.
So you don't understand. This is more important to me.
This is more important than this $13 an hour bullshit. But so on resin casting, you're in the West Coast, right?
East Coast.
Oh, you're in you're in East Coast. How is the weather? Depending on where you are, does like the humidity affect like the resin cast quality, or?
Yeah, I can definitely say there is a humidity thing, especially, and temperature as well. What works best is, because right now we're in the middle of winter, so it's pretty cold. We haven't really gotten snow yet, but it's been cold enough that it can affect casting. So what I've been doing is, after I pour the resin outside, I'll bring the pressure pot indoors to a warmer and more humid environment until they're ready to come out, and that seems to help. But yeah, you definitely gotta. It's a little more difficult. Once summer hits, I'll be able to make a lot faster, and they'll cure more quickly. Because currently, I can come out of the molds after about 24 hours, and then they need about a week before they're hard enough to actually like handle without them like deforming slightly.
Okay. Now how many casts can you go through a mold usually? Because I know I've spoken with Sakaba before, and he says they only last like maybe a couple dozen times, I think.
The estimate's like something between 35 and 50 masks, because we're using the same type of silicone. So as long as you take care of the mold, it should somewhere between 35 and 50. Less so for resin printed mold masks like the Bakari, because I've casted. Let me see. I'm going to say maybe they aren't all pictured here, but because there's been some miscasts, but maybe like 15 or so. And the mold's starting to go. I think it's got maybe like 6 or 7 more Picaris in it before I'm going to have to redo the mold. You can sort of just tell it starts to like become pale, like the blue of the silicone starts to fade out.
The color of the silicone will dictate how far along in its life cycle it is.
Yeah, like I'll send a photo right now. You can see the Picari and Kakama are my oldest molds. You can see how the color difference, as they've started to, go a bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I can see it definitely. Now, is that just a byproduct of the actual resin curing with the heat, or?
I think it's probably a combination of that, along with the cleaning out the molds after removing the cast, like washing them off and spraying them down with like window cleaner to kind of make sure they're perfectly clean. And I think maybe just the friction from the mask being stuck onto the mold and then peeled off repeatedly every time you take them out. I imagine it's a combination of all 3 of those. But it's not too big of a deal. It just slowly becomes more difficult to get them out of the molds. Definitely with Bakari, I have to kind of prod at it to get them out. With the
Yeah.
others, I can kind of just pop them out pretty quickly. But
So
yeah,
from the picture you showed me from the masks you've resin casted, are 3D printed masks harder to actually make resin molds of? Well, I know you need a certain quality to actually make them, but
yeah, they have to be. Well, for one, they have to be actually smooth enough to where you won't see any visible print lines. The master cast for this Bakari, I spent a while, polishing and make sure it looks nice. But secondly, you also got to seal over the whole thing with like a sealant, because printing resin doesn't like silicone, and it can inhibit the curing process of the silicone around it. If there isn't a proper like barrier between them. I'm not quite sure the reason for this, but it is what you got to do. And it just seems like overall that mold starts to go quicker. I'm not quite sure why, but there's definitely something going on with that.
that's very interesting.
Mold taunted. Mold taunted.
Mold haunted. Are there any specific 3D printed masks you're looking to convert into resin cast masks right now?
Well, I'll be a little vague with this because it's relating to something that's coming up. But as you know, there's the Duckbricks Nadiki contest coming up, and I may or may not be producing a prize for that for one of the winners.
I was going to ask you about Duckbricks. You beat me to it.
But yes, that's probably something I'm working on currently. So you can look forward to that. I also do want to do probably the 4 Haga masks, like I see Subpar talking about. But it's kind of like if you are able to do the 4, the Haga masks, I might be able to sell some of those around and make a little extra money because the Haga are still pretty big at the moment. I see plenty of people going around. It's like finally built my Haga, but I don't have any paint and all this stuff. But it's like if you were able to provide the masks and some sort of drop, I imagine they'd sell pretty well.
Leading into that, have you thought about resin casting, armor pieces? I think I know Zio has done before.
It's not impossible, and it can be done. It's just a little difficult. I'm planning to try and do a mold soon of the Metru, like the upper leg armor cover piece.
Yeah, the Metru thigh cover.
I'm gonna try that one and see how it goes. And if it works well, I'm gonna try probably a few others. I really want to do this is less of a piece of armor, more of a weapon, but the Onua Mata Claw. I want to do a mold of that one so that I could cast it in light gray for the Sand Tarkava and possibly some other fun colors.
So I'm guessing the complexity of the mask and or part with details makes it harder to actually make a resin mold of it, right?
Yeah, I can kind of peel back the layers for a little bit of the process. But basically, you start off with the mask, whether it be a print or an official part, and you need to you use a modeling clay to make a base for it that then is transferred into a mold replica. I can take a photo of a few of them. My countertop's a little crowded, so you're gonna have to bear with me. But I'll take a photo. Let me see. I'll move some stuff out of the way. All right. And then I can probably I'll do this. That looks nice. Yes. That sounds about right. All right. There we go. I'll send this image. There you go. You can kind of see the process there. On the left is the clay master mold. And on the right is the silicone replica.
It's a lot like the stupid 5-minute. No, not sorry, the stupid 5-minute craft like metal casting things where they have to make a mold. That's just the person that came to mind. No, I understand. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a bit of a tedious process because there's a lot of trial and error with it. Because you never know where like resin's going to leak out or where the optimal shaping is for a mold. But
Or it's the
these
mold
two
foils?
are pretty good. I just finished this RAL mold maybe 2-3 days ago, and this is my first casting run with it. That was fully successful, and I think this one will do. I'm probably going to do some nice RALs in different colors for my first drop for what I'm going to do on probably Instagram.
Mhm.
But that's what I'm planning to do. But yes, they start off as clay with the mask on top, and you got to make sure all of the vents and stuff are well covered and everything. And then you pour the silicone over it, and you do the top half, which is not pictured here. Though I think it was in another image above. Yeah, the previous one. Then you put another mask in there, and you kind of then you pour the second half silicone on top of that, and you have to take it out before that silicone fully cures, because if it does, then you have a mask trapped in a block of silicone. So you have to kind of peel the second half out while it's still a little sticky to get it to come out properly and have two halves, which is definitely tedious. And I've lost a few masks to being trapped in silicone. But if you're able to do it properly, it works pretty well. And it's a very weird strategy because you never see anything about it online. And I had to basically be explained how to do it from some other experts in the community, because it's like you look at casting tutorials and all this stuff, and they never give any sort of advice like this. It's so weird.
One of my last questions on resin in general. Which is the superior method? Resin casting or resin printing?
I can definitely tell you that resin printing is a lot simpler, I guess. It takes less time. You kind of just set up print file and hit print and hope for the best, which is nicer, but also you do miss out on color options and durability. Resin casts, once they fully harden, are darn near indestructible unless you like step on it. But they're about as strong and durable as a real Lego part, which is nice. I mean, that's
So
probably
it's more
the main benefit other than color.
So it's more a time equals quality in that.
Yeah.
In that
Of course, resin printing has nice quality prints, but it's definitely. Yeah.
I'm getting some from Donnie. Actually, I commissioned a bunch of stuff from him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Donnie's a nice guy. I actually taught him how to use the resin printer. So
thank you for
small
that.
world. Yeah. I don't know how to use this.
Let's see here. Let's see here. What else? I have a list of things here I wanted to ask you about. A lot of resin stuff, because I'm kind of just, I don't know about that stuff.
Yeah, you're good. Before we do that, there is one question in the Q&A that someone sent that I want to answer because it's related to the topic on hand. Okay. Fritz Krieg said, "How toxic are the materials you work with?" So that comes back into the argument of whether you want to do casting or printing, because resin casting, while there's some concerns, it's a lot safer, I feel, generally, if you use the right resin. Whereas resin printing, I'm a little more iffy with. It requires a lot more work in keeping everything ventilated and safe and sterile, because it's liquid plastic, so it's not very nice to get on yourself or inhale fumes from. But but if you're able to find a nice place for it that's well ventilated and you use protection like gloves and it should be fine. It's just a lot of cleaning work. That's probably the main downside to printing. It's quicker, but it requires a lot more upkeep. Yeah. And careful consideration. Because, I would not, I've seen some people, they're like, oh, I should get a resin printer. It's like, make sure you have a good place for it. And they go, oh, I'll just probably set it in the corner of my apartment. It's like, huh?
Yeah, Duckbricks, I think last time, I think with that interview with Duckbricks, I asked him about that. And he said he kept trying resin printing, but it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah,
resin casting. Other way around there.
Yeah.
All this stuff is resin printed.
I just believe you. I assumed his stuff was FDM printed as well. So I wasn't really thinking about it. Yeah, I haven't been following his shop too closely. But I can say that, yes, casting has a very high barrier to entry. You need to spend a lot up front to buy a lot of silicone and a nice bottle of resin because here's the thing: you're gonna fail a lot before you get it. Um, I tried casting like a year and a half ago and it failed, and I kind of just gave up for a while before eventually picking it back up once I got enough uh, like advice from a couple other casters community. Like Socket gave me some advice. I got some advice from Zion. I got some help from Forrest. He gave me a lot of help. He like a lot of explanations on things that I would have not understood. Um, so it's been a learning experience, but once you get that down, it starts to be a little more smooth sailing. And uh, one last perk to casting, I definitely think there's more monetary benefit from casting. While the resin itself is more expensive for what you get to produce, at the same time, you also can earn a lot more back because I don't know how to word this. Like, Socket sells his masks for what, $12 now a pop
Yeah.
on the site.
Yeah.
A bottle of resin to produce maybe 30 or so masks is like $40. So he has a very high profit margin, which is good. I think it's good for him, especially the amount of effort he's probably putting in. But and it also is fair because there's not many other people in the community who are able to provide the same service. So it's a lot of it's very much so. If you are able to learn and get the craft down, I understand the price point for that, and you can make a good bit of money from it. Especially, it's not even like you could argue some things about it, whether or not it's moral having it that high. But I feel as if it's understandable, and also, I mean, people want the product, and he can raise the price as much as he wants, and it seems like no matter what he does, it's going to sell out instantaneously.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could probably. I'm going to say this, it's going to shoot me in the foot. He could probably price $20 and people still buy it as quick.
Yeah, I I know that. I'm trying to word this. He upcharges a little because I went to Brick Fair, Virginia, in August of last year. Crazy that it's 2023 now, but and he was selling the stuff there, and he sells all his masks at BFBA for only $8 a pop. And his miscolors, it's 10 for 10. So I got a lot of weird colored parts for really cheap. But I mean, I guess that's kind of the premium for getting to go there. He's probably trying to get rid of all the stock that he brought,
Yeah.
which he did. It was hilarious. I was on the same table as him, and we were talking. And then the moment that he opens up his stand, just a line of people shows up, and they were gone in like 20 minutes on like first day. It was pretty funny.
I mean,
yes.
it's he has quality product. That's the thing,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people in this community, a lot of the printers now are starting to have really quality product. I mean, you could probably charge up. I mean, I'd say safely up to 20, but I think charging in the $12 range is probably better for everyone involved. Just so that people don't complain about expensive masks and, actually competing with real, mask colors and like real mask prices at that point.
Yeah. In regards to real mask prices, I feel as if it's sort of a bit of a, I don't want to say civic duty, but like a responsibility to casters to not just absolutely obliterate price markets for some parts.
Like some sellers we know.
Yeah. I'm not going to name any names, but
there's a set amount of people who do that.
Yeah, you got to really know what's up with them. But yes, it's certainly something. Though I will say that for small scale commissions, I wouldn't mind, and I don't think that it should be that bad of a thing to produce replica parts. Just I wouldn't create a large quantity of them, mostly because I don't want collectors coming after me.
I know, I don't blame you. I've talked to the random Gmod sound effect pop up. I think that I've asked Zio to make resin printed Progo Cacons, or ask somebody to make Progo Cacons just to like put them out there so people don't have to spend like $1,500 to get one.
Yeah. I know Socket made some of them, though. He did make it distinct. Official Pro Cacons are 4 holes, whereas the ones he made are all 6 holes. So you can tell the difference.
Now, where are the flat dark gold cracons? That's what I want to know.
In the garbage.
Flat dark gold is like the hardest thing to replicate ever.
Everyone has trouble with it. Everyone.
Yeah, at least with my testing, it is very difficult. I'll get it eventually, but I can understand why. Pro gold is simply just easier.
50 umptillion shades of brown.
So what is the hardest color for you to replicate as a whole?
Okay, let me think. There's a reference photo of the Kraken, by the way. But
I have one of those too. It's real though.
Basically, I want to say that what's been hardest for me is really saturated colors. Like for the past week or two, I've been trying to match Lego yellow, and you can even see it in one of the images above. A whole bunch of failed attempts at that, and it's hard because I've been using some yellow dyes and some yellow acrylic paints to try and match it in the resin, and I've gotten close. But the problem is, I feel as if I don't add any orange, the color's too pale. But even adding the tiniest bit of orange seems to make it just turn into like Kitangu orange. So it's been a major trouble for me trying to match that color, which is frustrating because part of why I got into casting is specifically because I want a yellow Ruru for the same color combo. Yeah.
Not that I know anything about color theory, but maybe adding a light shade of yellow, like orange yellow, would that overpower it?
Maybe. I've been using a fluorescent yellow paint, and then a tiny bit of a lighter orange. I might try and look for something stronger because I am using acrylic paint, which does work for a lot of examples. But maybe for yellow, it's just not strong enough. Considering that yellow paint is notoriously thin.
Yeah.
It's very hard to work with. And whenever you're painting things with it, if you're doing hand brush, you might as well throw in the towel. Like, you need to do 100,000 layers of yellow to get it to look good. So maybe I'll have to test that and see if I can find anything better.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, I mean, I found, I'm just going to say this and I'll leave the topic alone, but I found a good amount of success with the acrylic paint in matching lime green. One of the images above, you can see I did post, there's a lime Kari in there, but I also was able to match it for a Kakama, and I was so happy with that one, I just stuck it on one of my Matoran.
I get that.
And hold on, I can take a photo real quick. It's a little paler than I'd like. But it's good enough for what it is. Eventually, maybe I'll make something better. But for now, I'm pretty happy with it.
So when you start casting Mahari Torin torso pieces, let me know.
Oh goodness,
dude! I have so many. I have like 63. No, I have 66 Mahari Torin chess pieces right now. I think I have the most in the East Coast. Period.
I was about to say I was trying to make a pair of Mari Matoran to go with the other 4 official ones. Yeah. And I, for the life of me, couldn't find any of that part in my collection. I only had one, and it was on one of my Dark Hunters. So I had to go and order like 20 of them from some guy in Germany. I have them now.
Like Hordika.
Yeah, Hordika chess pieces. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, those.
I don't. I have blacked out 2005 from my mind. It doesn't exist. It's not real. Can't hurt me.
Funny Rotuka animals go wee.
But yeah, no, having that piece in different official colors would be very interesting, especially for people who want to make those style of mocks.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think that there's a lot of great parts to make in different colors. I'd love to do like the Nuba shoulder or like a Metru foot or even like the Bionicle stars, like the one armor piece that kind of has the pattern to the
Yes.
bottom. That part would be fun to do in some colors, considering
Please
how
make that in copper. I will love you forever.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I do have a copper that I'm planning to try and use. It's the same one I used for my Gaki. It's not necessarily 2001 copper. It's a little more orange.
Yeah, orange, please. Yes.
But I think that I'll have to test that out and see how it looks. Metallics have been a little bit of a struggle for me because I feel like my normal strategy for making color matching is I add a few drops of white, really strong dye to the clear resin to make it opaque before I add any paint to it. But for metallics, you basically have to add it straight to the clear resin. So it's been a little hard optimizing how much to put in there without affecting the cure time or its overall end result. But I'll eventually figure it out. So
Okay.
I'll have to let you know. That's
really cool. Moving on to our next segment. Do you have any questions for me or staff in general for the server?
Trying to think. I think I may have a question or two.
Then we can move on to stage questions and then ending.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Let's go with what do you guys find most interesting that is posted on the server? Like what content?
Oh God. That's a loaded question. Honestly,
interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Are we talking like good faith, or
are we talking about cool? Are we
because if we're talking in full good faith, then yes, that's an easy answer, and the answer is mocks, because there's a lot of cool and very interesting mocks here that get posted, and I love seeing a lot
of them. See, unlike my cohorts here, I'm here primarily for the shit posting because I enjoy it. It's fun. Outside of that, I do like seeing mocks here and on the subreddit, even though sometimes they aren't the best quality. That's
yeah,
that's something something we know. But I think it's just community interactions in general. It's just fun to have a melting pot of people here. Like most of the people in the server aren't even from the subreddit; they're from different communities.
We got our own gaggle of weirdos, and I love that.
Yeah, there are weirdos, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
To me, that's the most important part of the community is just having this general melting pot of different users from all other Discord servers. We have people from, the subreddit. We have mask posting people. We have people from Biog somehow. We have, it's just, we just have people from all over. It's just really interesting. Even some TTV users ended up joining the server at one point, and they've kind of melded in pretty well. So I guess just general community interaction. It's what I like.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. It's always nice to see what the community is doing, especially in our current year. We've been around for a long time, and especially with some of the stuff that's happened lately, it's still nice to see that the community is pretty up and running, and coming up with all sorts of great stuff. I've been really happy with the custom mask scene in the past couple of years, like Galva or some smaller ones like Rothanak or Big Fan. They've done some really nice masks.
Rothanak small.
Okay, well, he provides a very large quantity of parts, but I feel as if I don't know how to word this. It's like quantity. A lot of them are.
I'll reuse the analogy that I used in the dungeon. Rothanak is a really, really good test chef. Rothanak, he will make whatever it is you want exactly to that specification, but it may not be good if you didn't give him good recipe.
Yeah, I could see that. A lot of time I feel like Roth maybe struggles a little bit with transferring source material into something that's more visually pleasing than what it directly is. which is something that I see a lot with the opposite with Galva, where he'll take something that could look like total like crap, and he can, he can
You
morph it
should
into
see
something
some
that.
of the sketches that I provided to the mask that he modeled me.
Java do be making good masks, though.
Yeah.
His quality is excellent. I'm always impressed
For
with
some,
what he makes.
Easily my favorite 3D printed masks. Sorry, RSG.
yeah,
Not sorry.
he's really good at translating stuff.
Any more questions before we move on to the user questions and stage questions?
Poor Kodiak, he doesn't even say anything.
We have
I know.
shit. Hold on.
Yeah.
What? There.
Trying to think.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to ask other than, I guess, is that what part of your job on the either the Reddit or the r/server do you find the most difficult?
Keeping people from ripping each other's heads off.
Yeah.
Easily, it's trying to moderate people's personalities in a way where they aren't offended and you're still politically correct.
I find it hard to be the bad guy.
I don't.
I can understand that. There's a lot of times where I don't necessarily agree with what some people say. But it, from an outside view, it's like it's best just to kind of step back and avoid the whole thing. But for you guys, you have to actually go in and figure that out.
Let me clarify on politically correct. I meant that as some culture here doesn't actually mesh well with other online culture. Like I said, it's a melting pot. You have to find the perfect balance here. It's difficult. Even for someone who's done this moderating thing for 5-6 years now on this server. God help me. It's a lot because it's always changing.
Yeah.
Some things that were okay 5 years ago, not okay now by any standard. And that could be the same. It could be the same year to year.
Yeah, there's stuff changing constantly, and sometimes you can stick to your guns and like I'm going with what I think is correct, but then sometimes you just gotta go with it.
It's a lot of going with the flow here. It's difficult, but it's rewarding sometimes. It's just fun to see people having fun here. We want people to have fun. We don't want people to just look at the server and anger post like some people do in the server.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, I think we'll move on to stage questions.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Is the Lego Bionicle back for sale?
Oh my god.
Well, is
No.
it?
That is a loaded question. I don't even know what that means.
Nate, are you going to enter any mocks in the Duckbird contests?
Well, I did. I entered one for 2 yet, and it made it pretty far. I think it made it. What was it, Kodiak? I think it made it to the semi.
It made it to the semifinal. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking of entering Nadiki, since I have one, but at the same time, it's been a little hard because, like everyone's been arguing, it's like, what color is Nadiki's armor and that kind of stuff. Should he be a Metro build? And I feel like no matter what I submit, that's gonna end up getting like lost in a sea of similar builds.
For Greenlee Con.
Yeah. Like with 2 yet, I feel like, yeah, it was the same deal, but there was a little more to work with. Since there wasn't actually like a defining mask design, so you kind of work with that a bit. But with Nadiki, he's got a ball attack. Everyone's gonna they know what it looks like. They want him to use that mask. And a lot of people want him to be silver. Some want him to be green. Like it's gonna be a very intense contest. I feel like
hot take. I want him to be good.
Hey, that's true. I mean,
that's asking a lot.
Okay, I'm gonna have to speed run some of these questions.
Next question: what got you into resin casting?
I got into resin casting, one, because I saw a lot of what Socketball and Zion were doing, and two, I was kind of burnt out on doing resin printing because, to be honest, it's a lot of work, and Uh, yeah, after a while, it's like I don't even want to do this no more because
What's the
the
hardest part?
returns for it are so small.
Sorry.
Very
Spoken
good.
there.
That's all I had for that.
What's the
What's the
hardest part?
hardest part of resin cast?
I'm gonna kill you.
Oh,
But yeah,
the
go on.
hardest part of resin cast. Okay,
No, hard west.
the hardest part. Okay, let's see. Probably, I'm gonna say mold making is the hardest part. Once you're actually pouring the resin, it's pretty easy. Of course, there's some occasionally freak accidents, but uh, usually the pouring the second half of the mold is the hardest part. First half, you can kind of just pour the silicone in and just let it sit for like a few hours, and then it's good. But the second half, you have to prepare both mentally and physically for it because you gotta go onto the first half of the mold and cover the whole thing in like Vaseline to keep two halves from merging as easily. Then you gotta shove another mask. So you have to have two copies of that mask because one's basically going to become permanently a part of the clay master mold, and that's where it lives from then on. And it's a lot of work, and then you can pour the second half in, and there's a good chance you're still gonna somehow get on the other side of it, and then you gotta like pick at it and hope that it's not stuck on there forever, because then you gotta do the mold again. And I've lost a few masks to that. I need to redo the How mold and the Comau just because they looked like shit. Because
Okay.
it's just silicone leaked through, and it's infuriating. But yes, that's probably the hardest part. But once you get that down, smooth sailing.
What's your favorite modeler regarding parts? Also, what's your favorite single model or print you're proudest of? Which I think we already know that last part.
Yeah, hold on. Let me find the question so I can just think about it a little harder. Where was it? Yeah, do you have a favorite modeler? I love Galva's work. I also want to give a big shout out to Big Fan, spelled like Phan. He's a bit underrated, but I like his work. And it's a very nice aesthetic to it. And he's the one that designed the smaller, or he didn't design, he modeled the smaller adaptive cow that I have on my Golly revamp. Fantastic mask. He did such a great job on it, and his work is very nice. Everything's really smooth, and the stud connectors and everything, very nice. Would recommend his work. I know that he's currently on a hiatus for university, but I believe when he's done with that, he said he's going to come back and do some more modeling work. So I'm keeping an eye out for that, and I say you guys should as well.
Okay, next question. What's your favorite mock you currently have built? That would be the Yesterday Quest trio, right?
Mock I have built. Does it have to be my mock, or can it be someone else's mock?
It just says favorite mock you have currently built.
Okay, well, I have a lot of mocks built. So,
I know you have Donnie's word over there. I saw that.
yeah. I really like. I'll give one that's classic era, and then I'll give one that's more recent. I really like Dark Hunter Lurker. He's a great build. Fantastic especially for the guy who built it back in like 2005. I can't believe that he was able to get such a great looking build out of parts from that time. It's fantastic. In terms of more recent, I love the Haga. I mean, like, I've always been a big fan of specifically Pooks and Bumunga, but I also like Koalas and Gaki as well. All of them are great. And I guess in terms of something I built, maybe I'll go with it's a bit cheating, but my modification to Makuta Pterodax. I'm very happy with how that turned out. The legs basically make the build usable because normally he can't really walk. Of course, it doesn't embed, but there's the post for it. But I'm really happy with how that turned out. I had to seek out 3 old gray Mata feet because they only came in like the Master Builder set, which took forever. But afterwards, he looks pretty nice.
Okay, next question, coming up here on the end here. What's the best advice you received? Probably
best
in
advice.
regards to resin printing in general.
Yeah. Well, let's see. My grandpa once told me no. Probably in regards to resin, I'll go with one for resin printing, one for casting. In terms of resin printing, find a good spot for your printer. You need to, if you are going to get into printing, which I'd argue is much easier said to do than casting, know what is a good place and be careful with it, because I a lot of the consequences of inhaling resin fumes is a little unknown with resin printing because it's so new. I've done as much research as I can on the topic, and it's kind of just like up in the air. It's like, yeah, probably causes irritation, but it's like I worry about it a little bit. I don't really feel like condoning that it's safe and getting a whole bunch of people cancer in 30 years. But just be careful with it. In regards to casting, don't give up, because if you give up, then you'll never get it. Like,
if you give up, the terrorists win.
True. The last one. But yes, never give up on casting. If you think that if you really want to do it, you can do it. You just got to try.
Okay, and last question for tonight. What's your favorite what's your favorite Kanohi? And I guess favorite mask you've made.
Okay, favorite Kanohi. It's a tie between the Noble Matatu and the Great Kakama. Favorite mask I've made. I'm gonna say. I gotta find something. I'm gonna say probably. It's a bit of a cop out, but I really do enjoy the Champion Kakama. The one I printed for Pooks and some others I printed for some other characters. But it's such a great design, and it just feels good in the hand. It feels like a real mask. That model's so great.
Okay.
All right.
And I think one last question: who should I interview next?
You should interview Double.
That's been vetoed already. I already asked.
We've tried.
Did he disagree or did?
Nope. Ginkgo vetoed that. Next, second best option.
Maybe I would recommend maybe TLR. Pete, he's a good guy, and he's been working a lot on his custom builds lately. And he's even working on some story stuff. It's like he's in the server, I think. It's TLR Osborne. He's a nice guy, and I think he's coming along with a big project. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep that in mind for next week. Hopefully, we can get. If I can't get him, I'll get someone else on. I appreciate you coming on here and talking for this past hour. It's been great.
Yeah, it's no big deal. It's nice to get to talk with the community some, and I hope you all have a great night. I'm gonna get back to probably just playing Halo, but I'll see you guys some other time. It's been nice talking to you all.
All right, I'll see you later. Now, how do we stop this motherfucker from recording?
I can handle that.
/stop. That's how. I've been holding that in for like an hour.